Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's Wednesday Wisdom guest, but as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, hold on. Don't hit that fast forward button. These are all great companies. I used them as an athletic director. I highly recommend that you use them too. So take the next couple of minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Wednesday Wisdom guest, and then go and visit these sponsors if you're not already using their product. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper for their support. You know, your student athletes are on social media, so are a lot of their parents. And if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. It's used and trusted by over 4,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's Gipper.com. We also want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We'd also like to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our kids loved the videos and our parents loved the streaming, but there is so much more. Join the 8 million users. Go to huddle.com. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To find out more, go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We want to say thank you to Hometown Ticketing. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And whether it's more support, more security, or more customization, the Hometown team is here to help you make the best online ticketing solution. Go to hometownticketing.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We'd like to say thank you to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at my school with great success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. You're going to be very glad you did. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, communication. Their student athlete eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com to get started. Homecampus.com. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but typically it's from a very small group that only wants to complain. Athletic surveys will connect you to that group so you can listen to their concerns so they don't become big concerns. But they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that information is incredibly valuable, especially when you're meeting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got, we've got an old friend. We've got one of our regulars and somebody that if you're not following or not connected with, you really need to be. Our guest today is Kirsten Jones. Regular listeners will recognize that name, but if you're new to our podcast, Kirsten has an incredible background in athletics. She was a college athlete. She worked for Nike. Just recently, she's become a speaker. She co-hosts, I guess, her own very popular podcast, Raising Athletes with Susie Walton. She's also, oh, by the way, a best-selling author. Her book, Raising Empowered Athletes, is one that you'll want to add to your desk library if you don't already have it. So, Kirsten Jones, welcome to your first, hopefully of many, Wednesday Wisdoms.
Thank you, Jake. I need to have you like playing in my house so that I can always remember my greatness.
Well, no, you gotta take me. I know you have an assistant, but you got to take me on your book tours, and I can be the person that
there we go.
brings you out. Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Let's go to Hawaii together.
That's right. Okay, well, okay. Let me make a note of that. Kirsten to Hawaii. For our listeners, we are recording this on October 8th. So Kirsten's safe and sound in California. We are maybe getting ready to dodge some hurricanes, but right now life is good. Kirsten, and we were talking a lot before we started recording, but I'm really excited for this segment. So I'm going to ask, what do you have for our listeners this week on Wednesday Wisdom?
I think one of the timely topics of the moment is, if you're safe and sound, is to be looking, and most kids are in the season of getting recruited back to school, back to sports. Parents are getting back to the sidelines. We've had the summer off, ha ha ha. Maybe took a week holiday or there, but now school is back full time, and parents are back to the sidelines. So I have quite a few clients who looking for recruiting help. I actually did just have my son, who's at Colgate University playing basketball, on, and we talked about his recruiting journey as well. And so some highlights are everybody's journey is different. And I think that's one of the biggest themes I see is with social media. I get a parent or I get an athlete reach out and say, I'm not getting recruited. In fact, these parents were on the call. They were at a tournament in the hallway, both parents on the phone saying June 15th came around and it feels like everybody got a phone call except for us. So is this not going to happen? And of course, that means that if June 15th is when rising juniors can then officially be recruited. But as we know, a lot of coaches find ways to let people know that they're interested in them. So there are athletes, and if you are in the top 100 of your sport, then yes, probably your phone will ring at midnight. But if you don't happen to be one of those, fear not. I have two sons who both played Division I basketball. They both graduated from high school, so after their senior year, with zero interests and zero offers. And they both went on to play college basketball, full ride scholarship. So I really feel like the hype that we get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses, whoever they are, of look what they have and look what that offer is, and they're doing. So advice, if you're a parent or a coach listening, helping athletes, is have a list. Start with a list of each kid is different. One person's dream school might not be another person's dream school. So getting 25, I had my sons put 25 schools. If any of these schools called, you would be ecstatic. Sure, put the Duke or the whatever dream school on there, but then also do your research and find out, okay, what's realistic? Where would I fit based on the feedback I get from my coach, based on the feedback I get from my club director? Who are those people that I trust? You know, and again, parents, usually this is the time for you to zip your lips. We all think our kids should be the number one recruit, right? Like that's who we are. That's our job. But we also need to listen to those wise voices around us so that you can get the real read. And if people are saying, hey, he's got or she's got D1 potential, but right now she's a D2, D3 player, that's really important feedback, because that then helps you say, okay, if getting to D1 is my goal, what are the steps I need to take? What are the tools I need to put in my tool belt in order to make that happen? And two, what are the schools that are within my zone right now that would be good to reach out to? I always like to equate it to dating. You don't just find the perfect prince on the first phone call. You're going to be probably on the phone with a lot of different people. And I see a lot of times kids have this expectation around, well, I'm at this level and a D3 will call me or text, and they won't even respond to the call. They won't, I've had coaches say, yeah, they just ghost you. The parents ghost you, the kids ghost you. Return every phone call, return every text. Multiple reasons. Number one, they could be in a new job within 2, 3, 5 months, and it could be the dream school that you want to go to. Two, but probably most importantly, actually, is it's good practice. You need to be able to tell your story. What am I looking for in a school? What am I looking for in a program? Why do I want to leave home? Why do I want to stay close to home? Why do I want to be at a big school or a small school? Or what other activities or interests that I have? I actually had on my podcast the other day, a player, she played volley. She's from Texas, actually originally Colorado, and she got recruited to go to Montana. And she was like, I never thought I would ever end up in Montana. But when I realized that they had an arts program, and this is Division I volleyball, and she said, I went in and saw they were doing a chorus line on my recruiting visit. And I said, I want to do that. And the coach said, okay, like that was a good fit. So understanding what you want to get out of the experience and what you ultimately want from a coaching standpoint, talking to the players. Now research is easy, right? Go look at their roster, DM somebody on the team. Hey, can I chat with you 15 minutes about everybody wants to talk about themselves. Yeah, I get that all the time. Kids are like, oh yeah, I reached out to this kid and he called me and we had a great conversation. Ask the good questions. How do you like it there? What do you like about it? What's one thing you would change? But asking those good questions to vet, hey, I'm not getting recruited by them now, but what do you think they're looking for? And then of course you need to be reaching out to the schools, letting them know you're interested. If it's before June 15th of your sophomore year, you won't hear back, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't reach out. I used to tell both of my sons who weren't getting recruited, like, you're the best kept secret. You're the house that's not on the market yet, right? And in order to get recruited, people need to know that you're out there. And I think these kids have gotten to this where, well, they should just find me. Well, how do they even know? People don't know that you're there. So getting a list, validating it with somebody who you trust, finding out what are the gaps, where can I improve? I mean, and hopefully you have 2, 3, 5 good things that you can work on, because that's kind of the fun in it, right? Is getting better. And the D1 coaches that I've had on, D2, D3 coaches that I've had on my podcast, when I ask, what do you look for in an athlete? They say, a lot of them say, I'm looking for somebody with either no ceiling or one that I can't see. These kids that have only played one sport their whole life and they're good, but I can kind of tell, they probably reached their potential or they're getting close to their potential. They said, I'll recruit a kid who's maybe only played 2 years of whatever sport, but has all this other potential in all these other areas. And I can see the athleticism. So parents get really caught up in when you go to these events, oh, I need to score the most points. We need to win every game. Of course, winning is fun. Of course, scoring is fun. But that's not what coaches are looking for. Most of the time, yes, they're assessing if you're athletic enough, if you're competing, how you're contributing to your team. Once you check that box, they're looking, is he a good kid? Is he high-fiving his teammates? What is his body language when he's winning? There's one coach, I saw her, she said, I go when I know it's going to be a blowout so that I can see how my recruit's going to respond when she's sitting on the bench the entire time. Is she cheering? Is she, is she bored? Because I need those kids to come in and be a great teammate first and foremost. And then when they get on the floor, of course, I need them to contribute. But a lot of the things we focus on are outside. We think of things that are outside of our control. Focusing on those that you can control, which is how do I show up? What effort do I give? If I'm interested in getting recruited, what is within my control? Ultimately, you don't have control over who reaches out to you necessarily, who has a spot on the roster, but you 100% have control over the narrative that you want to give about what's important to you. And I've heard multiple stories where actually I had the NYU volleyball coach on, and he said, I was at a small school, a D3 school, and I was recruiting this athlete. She was amazing. I really, really wanted her. She wouldn't return my phone calls. She wouldn't return my texts. She never responded. And he goes, then I get the NYU job. Guess who's the first person to call me? He goes, we joke about it now. She's at NYU. But she says, I was so foolish. I should have responded. So respond to everybody, because it's also, again, this is about sports, but it's not about sports. Now my oldest is getting ready to graduate with his master's, and he's got to go get a JOB. Okay, you're going to use the exact same skills. And that's what I said. Those 100 coaches you talk to in your recruiting process, it's the same thing when you walk in to get the job. When that's what they're looking for. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you want? Do you know what values you add and how you can make my team? What do you have to offer my team? My oldest would always say, Coach, it's not my 4-year plan, it's my 40-year plan. And a couple of the coaches thought that was so, oh, that's great. But it's true. It's like, why are you choosing them? And if it's something you can read on the internet, i.e. you go onto their website and, oh, he's been coaching there 5 years and, oh, they won the conference. Like, that's not interesting to me. But hey, I really love the offense that you run. Like, I really studied this film. I love this player that you had. I saw he went from the worst to the first. Like, studying them and letting them know that you're truly invested in them. That's what's going to get their attention. Another coach said, I get 1,000 emails a week. Why would I click on yours? So what does your header say? He goes, if you've been at one of my camps, you know the things that I talk about a lot. You know, if you follow me, you hear what I have to say. Say something in your introduction that gets my attention, that makes me want to click on your email. Otherwise, it just, if I don't see it in the first 30 minutes it comes in, I may not ever get back to it. So those are just some of my thoughts around recruiting. I believe if that's truly your passion, and I've seen kids at all levels, there is a place for every kid that wants to play. Again, we need to let our egos go, and maybe you're not going to play at the highest level, but honestly anymore with NIL and the transfer portal, I think D2, D3 are what D1 used to be when I played. It's where you went because you wanted to have a great experience. You wanted to get a great education for 4 years. You wanted to have a team environment, and you were there for the good of the team. Now a lot of these, it looks really sexy because you have Christmas and Nike delivers the shoes and woohoo, it's really fun. But at the end of the day, if you never get on the floor, you don't get the roster because, the coaches needs to keep their job and is just recruiting over the top of you. I don't see a lot of kids that are like, I don't care. I just want my name on the back of the jersey. No, we all want to go where we can make a difference and contribute. And as a parent, you want them to be somewhere where they're going to learn and grow and get to push themselves. And that comes with some discomfort. It's not always the easiest step, but it's a very fun journey, but it's a full-time job too. So chapter 2 of my book, whose dream is it? Make sure that it's the kid. It's got to be intrinsically driven. It doesn't matter what level they're at. It's the same amount of commitment. It's the same amount of work ethic and intention that you have to have, whatever school you're at, for it to go well. Like anything you do in life, and again, I think the gift really isn't in whatever school they end up in, but in the tools that they get along the way, because those are the tools about grit and resilience and gratitude and attitude and making eye contact and having good work ethic. Those are what are going to make you successful in life.
Wow. That was just a master class in the topic of recruiting. You touched on so many great points. Now, one thing you didn't say specifically, but I think you definitely addressed it. I would always tell our student athletes, both as a coach and as an athletic director, go to those colleges that you are thinking about, go to their website and fill out the athlete questionnaire, because now you're in their system and somebody's going to get back to you. It might not be the head coach right away, but that's a great way that they can show their interest. And whether it's, football, basketball, soccer, volleyball, whatever it is, you've got video on Huddle or another platform, and those coaches, they're going to say, well, hey, maybe we better look at this kid. Is that still good advice?
Absolutely. And one even plus that, particularly if they're local, because I know it starts to get expensive, but if it's truly your interest, go to a camp. Get on their campus, because then you get to hear directly from the coach, but you also get to meet the staff and you get to meet the campers. I have a 15-year-old, she's a soccer player in DC, and she went, so I was working with her that last summer. They went out to Stanford and to UCLA to do the soccer camps. And so I told her, I'm like, go study the rosters, understand who the coaches are, how long they've been there. And she was really cute. When she got back from the trip, she said, oh, it was so awesome. One of the coaches asked, so can anybody name 2 of the other coaches on the roster? And she's like, I was the only camper out of 300 kids. Like, that's a way to separate yourself. Like, you're not just there to get the t-shirt, you're actually studying, who they are and what their backgrounds are. And she could answer like 3 questions about that player or that coach who obviously formerly played, which again, you have to have the skills. I'm not saying like, oh, you just have that and you'll be able to get recruited, but I'm saying doing your homework is what then gives you the opportunity. I know a couple D1s, they won't make an offer unless you've been on their campus. So some schools will throw out offers, they'll see 2 or 3 or 5 have already offered you. Oh, that's at our level. We'll go ahead and offer. But there are some schools that say, look, this is a very unique place. We want to make sure you see yourself here as well. And I will say, the broken leg test is probably the most important test. Will I be happy here if I don't have my sport? If I get injured, if I'm not playing, and some kids go, I don't care that I'm 500 miles from home. And then they get injured and they're like, oh, I really wish I was close to home. Or the opposite. Some kids are like, hey, I've been here all my life. I really want to get away. I just dropped my youngest off at college at Loyola Marymount. She's done playing sports, but I'm in the elevator and said to the girl, where are you from? She said, Nebraska. And I said, why LA? And she said, they don't have cornfields here. And I just thought, again, we all are making choices about what we need for this next step. And there's many ways to do it. So the family, circling back to the family I had on the phone, they had convinced themselves that their daughter wasn't going to get recruited. And she's a junior. She's like, just started her junior year. There's plenty of time and you didn't do anything wrong, and everybody's journey is different.
Well, and again, you definitely made this point for the student athletes. And we know this, you and I, we played, college sports, our kids played college sports, but it's not about us. It's about that kid's journey. And I love your son's comment about the 40-year plan. Very few of us are going to, do sports our entire life. It's that career, that major. And you mentioned the gal who, didn't know they had a fine arts department and that was her thing. So yeah, make sure it's a good fit all the way around, athletically, as well as what you think you might be doing the rest of your career.
Jake,
Uh,
could I also offer on my website, kirstenjonesinc.com, you can go on there and I have a free download that has questions to ask a coach when you're getting interviewed and questions that coaches might ask you. No, you don't need to ask them all the questions, but I also say, like, I'll give that to an athlete before they go on the campus. And what applies to you? Because also, again, taking both of my sons through the process, I sat next to my son. He was talking to the Pepperdine coach, and the Pepperdine coach is like, wow, you have a lot of really great questions. Like, showing that you're prepared, showing that you've done your homework, and that, again, you're taking this just as seriously. These, again, it's their job. They want to make sure that they get the right fit, because if they don't, it doesn't go well for them either, right? So it's a two-way street, and making sure that you're asking just as many questions as they are. A lot of kids feel like, well, I can't really ask it. No, you 100% should be asking questions. And red flag if the coach says, no, you can't talk to my players, or no, yes, we've had 80% of our kids transfer in the last 3 years, but, and they tell you reasons that you can start to figure out patterns pretty quick. That's the coaching I wish I had when I left Montana to go to San Diego State, having never met the coach, having never been on the campus, having never talked to the team. Shocker, it didn't go well. But I didn't know any better. So again, that's why I love helping parents and athletes, because ideally you find a great fit where even if the sport doesn't work out, they're like, wow, I can't imagine not having gone to this school because of all the other things that are surrounding it.
For listeners, if you haven't figured out by now, Kirsten Jones, in addition to being a best-selling author and a podcast host, she is a peak performance parenting coach, but she works with student athletes, she works with coaches, AEDs, works with parents, obviously. If you want to find out more, Kirsten, how can our listeners either pass your information along to their parents or student athletes, or reach out to you directly?
Yeah, so I do speaking too. So I work with schools, with clubs, all of that. And I, again, love helping give the tools so that we can all be more successful at this. My website is kirstenjonesinc.com. You can find my podcast, #RaisingAthletes, on there. Of course, the book is Amazon and everywhere books are sold. And yeah, on Instagram at Kirsten Jones Coach, most of the socials. You can find me and follow me there. And yeah, I love when parents reach out, and I'll give a free 30-minute phone call if you've got an issue you're dealing with, or you want to get recruiting, so that you can figure out if I'm a good fit for you, because that's the key to all of this is I believe we all need coaching. And if you look at any successful human in whatever walk of life, they have a coach. And parents, as much as we know the answers, our kids don't want to hear from us all the time. So I like to say to the parents when I talk to them, like, sometimes I'll just be saying probably a version of what you're saying, but it's coming from Switzerland. I have no skin in the game. And honestly, for me, if my kid resonates with somebody else who says what I said, I don't care. I just want them to get the answer so that they can move forward and be going for what they want. Not, well, mom said I'm supposed to do this, and mom says, no, giving them the tools they need to be successful. That's what we're all trying to do.
All right. Well, thanks again for sharing with our listeners. Once again, the podcast, Raising Athletes, the website, KirstenJonesInc.com, and the book, of course, Raising Empowered Athletes. If you don't have a copy, you need to add it to your desk library. Kirsten, thanks as always for being a part of our team here at the podcast. All the best moving forward. And hopefully we're going to be able to connect in person, whether it's in Hawaii or someplace else. But we'll definitely keep working at that.
Thank you, Jake. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Hey, for our listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this segment every week, and just about every day we try to share best practices and stories. So hopefully you'll come back next time for another edition of the Educational AD Podcast. Thanks again. Boy, always a great chat with Kirsten Jones. Make sure you check out her website. That's kirstenjonesinc.com. Before we go, we want to thank all of our sponsors, Gipper.com, world-class social media content for your student athletes, Gipper.com. Huddle, I used it as a football coach. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com. Hometown Ticketing, they're the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Snap Raise. If you're looking for the best online fundraiser, you just found it. Snapraise.com. Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Ohio University and their online masters. That's ohio.edu/info/MAA. Home Campus, you heard me say many times, Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day. Go to homecampus.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. That's athleticsurveys.com. And K-12 Sports Tech. They are the named sponsor of Wednesday Wisdom. Go to K12sportstech.com. Join their AD think tank. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.